and specifically mistakes I have made throughout my investment journey. One of my most recent video, I talked about things that I've done to save money throughout the years, some that I did when I was at university or starting as a young professional, some that I'm actually still doing today. So I hope that you had a chance to actually watch that video. If you haven't had a chance, I'll put a link in the description below, so then you can watch this. You can watch the video after watching this particular one. So saving and investing, they go hand in hand when it comes to building wealth. And I was also interested to actually share with you some of my investment mistakes that I've made throughout the years since I've actually started investing. So just give you a bit of I guess like background information on my investment journey. I'll say that I've been investing for a little bit over 15 years now. I started really getting serious about it probably a year or two after getting my first full-time job out of university. And I started with what we called guaranteed investment certificate, or GICs. Then I moved on to mutual funds. Then I moved on to individual stocks. And for the past few years, I've been actually taking my investment from individual stocks and putting them into exchange traded funds, or ETFs. I've also been, I guess, like investing more like as a hobby, doing option trading, but that's really speculative. So that's really not a huge chunk of my portfolio, but it's just more for me to get to learn more about option trading. So as I was learning about different type of investment instruments, I was also adjusting my portfolio. However, I have to admit that I have made mistakes, which is part of the journey. You have to be ready to make mistakes and learn. And those are the mistakes that I want to share with you, because I feel like one thing that really hold women in general back when it comes to investing is that we don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to lose money. Guess what? That's going to happen, and that is totally fine. As long as it's not going to wipe out your entire portfolio, in which case you want to make sure to be diversified. You're going to be learning, and that you're going to be growing, and you're going to be becoming a better investor, and that's going to be contributing to you building wealth faster. So I have 5 investment mistakes that I've made that I'm going to be sharing with you, and I'll be interested to know, which of those that you have made yourself for your journey, because I think anyone who's getting into investment right now or want to become a better investor can really learn from it. So let's share and let's leverage each other to become better at what we're actually doing, which is building wealth. The first mistake that I've made is really buying the latest hot stock. So someone, when I'm interested in something, I tend to follow people who are talking about it a lot, and at the end of the day, some of those people, they have their own agenda. Sometimes you don't know, but they will be actually talking about specific stocks that essentially, they have pour a lot of their money into, and they want also people to pour their money into. So they'll be talking about it, and I'll be like, oh wow, this seems to be a very nice investment, and then I'll go and buy. And I'm someone, when I'm actually very into something, unfortunately, I have to be like, very specific and be like, okay, maybe I'm just gonna put a few thousand, and then I'll put a little bit more than I should. And most of the time, those hot stocks will go, they'll go boom. And unfortunately, my money also I'll lose my money with that. So I've had situations like that for few stocks, and then realized that essentially I should stop really following people who are talking about hot stocks and like the latest stocks to buy and things like that. So that's really my first mistake that I've made, is really just not taking the time to think about why am I investing in that stock. And most of the time it's just because people are talking about it so much in the news, on like in investment groups, channels, forums, everybody's talking about that stock. So I'm like, let me also get a piece of it. And most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, I've lost money doing that. The second mistake I've made is also in line with the first one, which is essentially not doing enough due diligence when it comes time to buy the stock. So I'm taking my hard-earned money and I'm buying a stock without doing due diligence. That means because when you buy a stock, you buy a piece of, you own a piece of a company. The least you want to do is just to learn about the company, making sure that you're comfortable with the management team, their goals, the way they operate, different things that essentially can tell you if the company is on the, on a good track to be successful at what they're doing, or if they, like if they have too much debt, if they're not able to actually get some loans for things that they want to do. So really taking the time to look at their financial statement, listen to some reviews from like professional who are following those companies, who actually know about those companies. So that will be probably the second mistake that I felt like really trumped me a lot in my investment journey, especially at the beginning and maybe at different times also during the journey, is like not doing enough due diligence before buying the stock, and you don't want to do that. The third mistake that I've made when it comes to my investment journey is not monitoring regularly my portfolio. So you take your money, you buy different instruments on the market, whether it is mutual funds, GIC, ETFs, or stocks, or anything that you buy, and then you make a portfolio of those. And for me, there were times that for months and months, I wouldn't look at my portfolio. Sometimes that served me well because then that has prevented me from doing some transaction that I had no business doing. But most of the time that has not served me well, because especially when you're buying like those hot stocks, or like the stock of the month and things like that, you really want to be monitoring those very closely, because the last thing you want is, when you see them starting losing money, probably you have to ask yourself, do I want to stay here and maybe lose more, or do I want to sell them? So by the time I will go back and check my portfolio, a lot of things have already happened with those penny stocks, or like those stocks of the month, and most of the time the value has decreased and my investment has really reduced. So that's definitely one thing. So it all depends how your portfolio is actually built. But when you know that you have speculative instruments in your portfolio, you want to be monitoring your portfolio more regularly, more closer than if you had bought like blue chip stocks like banks and energy and telecommunications. So those are more stable. Those companies have been around for years and years, so they're just more stable. But when you buy like very speculative instruments, you want to be monitoring your portfolio more closer, and for many times I wasn't doing that. So that has really also impacted me in terms of my portfolio value. So that's the third mistake that I've made. And then the fourth mistake that I've made is either not having an investment strategy or not respecting it. In a video that I've made in the past talking about investment, one thing that I've said is really taking the time to establish your investment strategy and making sure you respect it, because if you don't respect it, that's where you're going to be running into troubles and essentially losing money. And for me, at times, either I would have the investment strategy but then not respect it, because so many people are talking about that particular stock and that particular instrument, and I just want to buy it to be part of the people who are like or like I will just not have an investment strategy, and then be lucky to have a few $1,000s available to invest, and then I'll just put the money into that. So having an investment strategy is very important. It's the same as I'm also really recommending to have a budget for your daily money management, and also same thing, having a financial plan for your long-term goals when it comes to your money, like building wealth. So investment strategy, most important thing when it comes to investment. And a lot of times when I didn't have one, or when I did not respect my investment strategy, I ended up losing money. And then the fifth one is essentially treating my portfolio as if it was like actually day trading my portfolio. So I've always wanted to be a long-term investor. I'm not someone who wants to be sitting every day checking my portfolio and buying stock in the morning and selling them. That's not really my style, and I don't have time for that. But I will be essentially buying specific instruments that actually require me to be monitoring my portfolio almost on a daily basis, and that will actually impact me because I wasn't doing that. So selling and buying, like at times for me was almost like it was like a hobby. And at the time, my portfolio was with a brokerage that was not charging me anything for actually buying stocks. So because I didn't have any fee for buying stocks, to me it was just like, okay, I'm just gonna be buying those stocks. And then at times I'll be like sitting there, and maybe within a day I can buy and sell so many stocks. And then I had to do that again, but sometimes I wouldn't do it. So it wasn't really clear, like, how I was doing my the monitoring and the maintenance of my portfolio. And that definitely impacted me as well. So there you have it. Those are really, when I'm thinking about the 5 investment mistakes that I've made in my own journey as investor, those are one that really come to mind. And to be quite honest with you, I've probably lost, in the solid 5 figures here in my portfolio. But I also know that I've made great moves in my portfolio that have actually served me way more than the investment mistakes that I've made. So fear not, definitely I'm not sharing this with you so then to discourage you from becoming an investor on your own, or like continuing to doing what you're actually doing. But it's really, I just want to share this with you because that might help you, that might prevent you from making those same mistakes. But most importantly, I want to make sure that essentially you're not afraid of investing and going out there and putting your money into the stock market to buy whichever instrument that you would like to buy. So there you have it. I'm really curious to know, which one resonated the most with you. What are other investment mistakes that you have maybe made and definitely you want to share with us? Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the notification bell for the next video that I'll be sharing here. And until next time, keep on building wealth. Hi Queens, Sam here. I hope that you're doing amazing. So in today's video, I want to share with you, actually, let me see.